That's what I'm talking about.
If it would have been gold, I'd have left. Can't see them. Goodbye.
Would you have been like, nope, I'm done?
I'm out.
Well, guys, sorry.
Let's go stream some bowling instead.
We've done that. It's been tragic.
You loved it every second.
Chip also enjoyed when they streamed the high school wrestling. It was his favorite
Why did
thing.
they delete cheat on the Mac?
I think that's I think I turned to Chip with that.
It actually says jobs on it.
I was like, you know,
Delete key jobs.
high
He's
school
dead.
wrestling may
Did
be
it.
worse than baseball.
Waka waka waka.
How dare you?
Can we do the broadcast like this? Just the three of us.
I think so.
Matt's not allowed to be in any sort of problem. Standard operating procedure.
Just call Nat and be like, Nat, come move the camera.
You can move the camera and discuss your thoughts.
Yeah. I wish there was a button that was set lineups.
Football.
Countdown on the board.
You can put it on the board. Yes. I don't know.
They're just going to start this directly at 7.
No.
I think it's supposed to start at 7.
Lenny lied to me. One of many reasons how I was tricked to be here.
Oh, I thought you just volunteered for the club stuff.
Yeah, that's what I did. I said, "Oh please."
This is like Champion League.
I don't travel enough. I want to go to North Shore. Please.
Champions League level soccer, dude.
Come on,
Exactly.
you idiot.
Champions League level song. Exactly.
It's like La Liga.
La Liga, which is
It's
French
not
for
the
the
volleyball
Liga.
Liga.
Oh look, Lenny's actually doing it. Good job.
What's Lenny doing?
Doing the write-up I asked him to
It's
do.
off the grid.
He's back on the
I don't think he
grid.
knows what off the grid means.
I don't think he does either.
Like, off the grid would mean no cell phone.
Is off the grid mean I don't feel like doing it because
That's what
that's what he. Hey,
Wow.
hey now.
Don't be saying truthful things here.
Wow. You guys are just throwing Lenny under the bus.
Alternate facts. At least we have a nice little room.
All to yourself.
I do.
I thought you were running here.
Exactly. All to myself.
Chip, you should clean your window so you can see the game.
I got a sweet camel work that lets me see the game. No pressure.
All the pressure.
Okay, and the one. Here we go. 31.
Take it out. Can't wait for this to be a no-no game, Jude.
I'm pretty sure Steve West is a made-up name. It's not a real name.
Like Steve Louise.
That's a guy without a real soul. Let's see what they're talking about on the island, the Isle of Dr. Moreau.
They were bitching about the Pelicans sucking earlier.
Oh, your friends who do the only Southland Conference power rankings.
That's the greatest thing of all time.
Wait, what?
Stephen F. Austin's site, amongst the things they do is Southland Conference power rankings. And for some reason, UNO, after going 0-2 this week, was dropped to second with no real explanation for it.
Other than we're Stephen F. Austin.
Who sucks?
Wow, they're gonna backdoor cut this team, dude. Like always.
That's not who Stephen F. Austin is anymore. It's like the new coach came in and said, you know everything that works?
Oh, he doesn't like that. Whoa.
I can work without lights.
Manny can't.
Manny can't work without lights?
That's not true. You guys do baseball without light all the time.
No, he preferred like needs animal.
Well, I mean, that's not easy.
I'm like, alright, Manny, I don't
I
care.
think the stream's scheduled to start right now.
It's going.
Chip just muted us because he doesn't
Give me, I'm not done yet, by the way.
Chip doesn't think we'll be okay. Speak with an open mic on live.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea.
Open mic night at the Sizzler.
Is it right then?
I saw somebody kicking a blue soccer ball around. I was about to get angry. It's like you weren't
right
using
there.
a white ball. You were not using a blue soccer ball tonight.
They have all blues over there.
They have blue balls.
Yeah, they're all kicking around with some blue balls.
Get these folks to go.
Yes. Shut up.
Oh, with Lenny.
But
I don't know. All good. That tweet is insulting. If it's not good, I'll tell you.
I think it was a text message.
Who's in the midfield?
Roman Harper and Darren Sharper, midfielders.
Come on, you Roman Harpers.
Dude, who are the two in the right in front of that line?
Where? Those two. Oh, that's would be
Edward Norton.
Newton and Pino.
What numbers are they?
Pinhoff.
That would be Newton is 35. Pino is 21.
Pinwatt.
Pinwatt, Pino. I'm going with Pino.
Ask Manoli.
Who's that a college?
Alabama said.
Call those defensive midfielders.
I wish Rack City was in pregame music.
No pregame music in case you hadn't noticed.
I know it's sad.
Have a dead wasp. No, or is that just a bee? I think it's just a bee.
Well, he's your new friend. Your new mascot for WHNO broadcasts.
That's right.
Never heard of it.
Fighting dead wasps.
You should take a picture of that and upload it to the back end of your website and see if anyone ever notices it.
On the back end, nobody would have any reason to notice it.
Just put it on some like random 404 page. This link is dead. Just like this wasp.
That's pretty good. I like that. This link is dead, just like this wasp.
Please go back to where you came from.
Exactly. Hit the back button now.
31 goals.
You'll Peppers will haunt your nightmares.
Manny Peppers, Manny Peppers.
He's not ever going to do anything for you now again after baseball.
He's had it.
Until volleyball season comes back up and he's like, I got nothing going on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is this some sort of,
Tired.
I feel like,
We're gonna start on time.
Good. Oh, I'm not ready with the graphics. Oh well.
Well, hurry up.
Whatever. Let's go. Go when you're ready. Yeah, just a minute.
Greetings to this Sports NOLA Prep Soccer presentation tonight, brought to you as always by First NBC Bank here on the website. Jude Young, happy to be with you from Hunter Stadium in Covington for some North Shore action as the powerhouse St. Paul's Wolves, as they continue to roll through play in Louisiana undefeated and come in with a record of 19-3-2 on the season, including 4-0-1 in District 4 of Division 1. Take on the Skippers of Mandeville High, 12-6-5 on the year, 2-2 in the district. And this one really is set up to be perhaps a one-sided affair. We'll see. Mandeville limping into the contest, a little banged up. But it looks like Christian Peacock, one of the two leaders of this club, a senior, will be able to play, at least early on. We'll see how long he can make it. For Mandeville, on the flip side, St. Paul's just keeps rolling along. Their only blemish in district play was a tie against a pretty good North Shore High club and was able to hang in there in the first half and battle for that draw. A big deal when you talk about how difficult it is for teams around the state of Louisiana to compete with what St. Paul's has been able to do over the last few years under Sean Moser, who has 8 total state championships to his credit as a head coach, 4 at the Academy of the Sacred Heart before becoming the guy who brought St. Paul's to the top of Louisiana soccer. The Wolves have won 3 straight state titles and are certainly favored to go on and do so again in the postseason starting next week, as we are in the final week of the regular season in high school soccer around the state. To get you set up for this matchup that's moments away, we look at what we expect from both teams tonight. Mandeville will come out with a 4-2-3-1 formation and a bit of a change up from what they normally do, although at times they will move their leading scorer, Devin Pemthong, around, a senior who will play on the left of the three behind Peacock, who gets the start up top, although oftentimes he'll be seen in the midfield. But both of them have combined for a lion's share of the goals for the Skippers this year. On the flip side for St. Paul's, they've settled into a 4-4-2 formation most of the season, and they come into this one with a lot of confidence after their performance earlier this month. The second straight year they've been in the Mast tournament down in Florida, hosted by Montverde Academy, which has become a prep school powerhouse in multiple sports, including soccer. For the second straight year, though, St. Paul's unable to win against the hosts, falling this year in the semifinals after playing them in the finals 2 years ago. But it was 3-2 in that matchup, and Montverde is yet to lose a game this year. So that says a lot about how good St. Paul's is. And they can play with anybody. If you're Mandeville, you're just trying to weather the storm early on and keep this thing at 0-0 as long as possible. At least that's the game plan, as Rice Thyler, who is a Cal Poly commitment, a captain, one of three, along with Michael Longo, who is a center back who really organizes the defense, and Adam Shalang, a senior midfielder who is a playmaker who will play up top, actually, to start this game in the 4-4-2, along with Tyler. It'll be interesting to see how long the Skippers can stay around as we're underway in St. Paul's with possession early on in their half. And you can see Peacock trying to make an impact right away as some pressure up top leads to possession deep for Mandeville. Now an opportunity perhaps for Niklas, who loses it over the end line. It'll be a goal kick for St. Paul's. So a smart move, I think, early on to try to pressure in the back and see if you can come up with a cheap goal if you're Mandeville, because St. Paul's is expected to ping it around often and hold possession. And when Mandeville does come up with the ball in their half, head coach Sean Moser for St. Paul's expecting a little bit of long ball to get the ball in the feet of the two top scorers, as mentioned, for Mandeville, and Penthumthong along with Peacock. There's again some high pressure leading to a sloppy turnover on the far side, and Mandeville will throw it in. St. Paul's number one in the state power rankings in Division I. Mandeville's been floating around the 8-9 seed position, and they're ranked 10th in the state based on the voting of the coaches in Division I, as once again an opportunity for Niklas to do something, but he is dispossessed, and here comes St. Paul's trying to break quickly. But Mandeville able to at least slow up the momentum the other way. We haven't seen St. Paul's work it into the Skippers' half yet in the first 90 seconds of this one. We play two 40-minute halves in high school soccer with, of course, added on time when warranted. First look of an attack for St. Paul's broken up well and played back by Taylor LeBlanc, midfielder for the Skippers. Once more, Mandeville with possession early on, but that ball played carelessly out of play for a St. Paul's throw-in. We had a really good matchup in girls soccer on Sports NOLA. You can watch a replay of that between Vanderbilt Catholic and Mount Carmel. And now we see another weird opportunity set up by a turnover in the back end out of bounds. And a throw in for the Skippers near the 18. But broken up by St. Paul's, and here they come with some space out towards the left in the first surge forward of the game for the Wolves, but a break up and a steal. As the Skippers again doing a nice job of contesting all around. Now with an opportunity for Peacock outside the box, and it goes out of play over the end line. And it looks like the first corner of the game may be awarded here. We're looking for the indication as Peacock, playing banged up, now hobbles and brings himself to his feet. Mandeville head coach Ari Kyriakidis concerned that Peacock wouldn't be able to go long tonight, just playing it minute by minute with him. But the senior's been a factor early on. It is a corner for the Skippers and setting up to be an in-swinger here. And it stays low, but St. Paul's able to keep a foot down and clear it. The downside for Mandeville of pressuring early on is that sets them up perhaps to be victimized by a counter. But they've done a really nice job. And once again, LeBlanc in the middle of the action along with Pino in the midfield, coming up with possession at least momentarily for the Skippers. Wide side of the field now, an open space for St. Paul's. Here's their first foray into the box, but the offside flag comes up on the play wide right. And just like that, the threat is gone. If anything, that's really the issue. Speaking to J.W. Hunt, the assistant coach for St. Paul's, along with the head coach Moser. Before the game, they were pointing out that, if anything, the problem for this team is early on, if they don't get into a rhythm in the attack, stays 0-0 for a while, they feel the pressure considering they're favored in every game they play against Louisiana opponents. And that becomes the question in the postseason, where anybody in the top 7 or 8 on a given day could potentially steal one away from the Wolves. We've seen this program grow and grow, and in general, athletics at this school over the past 10 to 12 years. Great football program, wrestling as well, and in soccer, probably the crown jewel of athletics at this all-boys school in Covington. A long ball played forward on this fast turf that gives that artificial turf skip right into the hands of the keeper West for the Skippers. Stephen West, a senior. Sure set of hands back there. But right away, the Skippers give it right back. More than likely, they'll look to avoid trying to play it out of the back slowly to prevent a careless giveaway on their own end. This time, though, a flick on forward is intercepted by Mandeville, and they'll play it right back into the opposite half. Of course, St. Paul's in the home whites tonight, Mandeville wearing blue, and that one hit out of play near side. They're going to say it'll be a throw in for St. Paul's. Keeping an eye on Peacock, number 50 for Mandeville, around midfield right now as he continues to hobble. I think part of the reason to play him up top in this one is simply to save some of the running for him. In the back line for Mandeville, doing a good job of clearing the ball forward, but nothing doing in transition for the Skippers. Philip Pierce, the right back, now playing it forward. And once more broken up by Mandeville. 7 minutes in, and Mandeville in good shape as the underdog here. Played forward and into the hands of the keeper, Kyle Schmidt, just a junior for St. Paul's. He's done a fine job all year long. Oftentimes not under pressure, considering how good the 10 in front of him are, but he's put together a nice stretch here the last couple of weeks. 4 clean sheets in his last 5 outings. Nice night for soccer or any sport outdoors. Temperatures in the mid-60s as that one's played out near side. And we'll watch one of the Wolves. And that's Colin Moser, a midfielder, up slowly, limping forward. As it's our first free kick of the game for St. Paul's. And asleep a bit at the wheel defensively, Mandeville not paying attention. Thomas Carrier on the attack and plays it off of a skipper for the first corner for the Wolves. This one will go towards the back post, deflected a couple of times, and in traffic, and a chance for St. Paul's that's not converted, cleared off the line by the Skippers with some help defensively for the keeper. Pierce with it now, and the attack again broken up on the far sideline. Adam Zulli broke it up a moment ago, and now one driven into the box is headed away. St. Paul's still fighting for it, and Adam Shalang not able to come up with it. Quick throw in for St. Paul's, and again headed away as the skipper's back line has been equal to the task so far. LeBlanc in particular has been busy. Now the skippers come up with it, and a chance for a counter. Keeping his feet is Panthumthong, but he's dispossessed. Still, the skipper's driving forward, and a deflection and maybe a chance here down the center of the field. Contact, and is there a call? And it's right outside the area. I think it's going to be a free kick and not a penalty called here, just on the outside of the 18. Awfully close. As Matthew Marion, on the deflected ball forward, had an opportunity, and it was hip-to-hip contact there, but enough to draw the whistle. And the official did make the right call there, as it happened just on the outside of the area, the yellow line here on this artificial turf at Hunter Stadium. Big chance for Mandeville in the 11th minute of this first half. And finessed and off the crossbar, almost coming in. May have been deflected by the wall there of St. Paul's, and we have a whistle on a Mandeville player down just outside the 6. We'll see if he's okay. Real opportunity there, as Adam Zulli was the one who tried to finesse it over the wall, and it did look like it was deflected and just coming off the crossbar near the left post. Would have been a big deal for Mandeville if that one would have gone in. Close but no cigar. And the skipper is still down. And that'll bring a couple off the bench for Mandeville to check out what's going on. See how the player is doing, trying to make out his number here. As after the carom off the bar, making a play for it on the rebound, the obvious reaction for both sides. And that'll actually bring some help from the St. Paul's sideline as all concern early on. I hazard to guess exactly what the injury might be, but they're looking, maybe it could have been something involving a head collision there. Momentarily, he tried to sit up. I think they're just being careful here as he gets his wits about him, and it is Christian Peacock. Already playing banged up, able to come back to his feet. And he'll slowly be taken off here and replaced. Sports NOLA hopes to bring playoff action in soccer, boys and or girls, as we've done the past several seasons, usually deeper into the postseason, quarterfinals or semifinals. Of course, the finals and all of the divisions, boys and girls, settled in City Park. Back to action in St. Paul's with it. And we'll see how that delay affects both squads. Could give an opportunity for St. Paul's to start stringing some passes together and play their usual possession style football. I don't think Mandeville's going to back off. And once again, an unforced error for St. Paul's playing it out. It's a psychological thing, says Kyriakidis, the Mandeville head coach. A lot of these players at the Mandeville Soccer Club play together when they're not opponents in high school action. St. Paul's is awfully good, and there's an intimidation factor despite the familiarity. Mandeville with another chance here on the attack. Played to the middle. Pentham, though, loses it and tries to keep it alive, but here comes St. Paul's the other way with some room to work. Ball hit down the center and maybe off to the left would have been the better option. And once again, Mandeville able to clear. Perry Booth doing the honors. Mandeville's season took a turn for the worst around Christmas time when their best defender, Alex Hollander, suffered a knee injury and was lost for the season. Hollander also their most vocal leader, so a bit of a double whammy for Mandeville. Here's a chance towards the corner for St. Paul's, and do we have a foul before the ball's played out? We'll see. And I think they will award a free kick just by the end line, setting up a short corner. As Thyler was the one who was able to make things happen. Just announced he committed earlier this month to Cal Poly, so a chance to play Division I soccer for him. He's second on the squad in goals scored. This one bounces across the mouth of goal and cleared away once more by the Skippers. And having to play it all the way back to the keeper are the Wolves. There's been space more towards the outside, but St. Paul's has wanted to play it more directly in the middle of the field. Perhaps the opportunities will be to play it wide more often the way Mandeville is approaching things. Oftentimes with 5 in the midfield in this 4-2-3-1 alignment. Really bunching in the middle. And for the most part now, only one player playing high. No longer Peacock, who left injured. It's Ryan Cook, a junior. And once again, Clutter plays to Mandeville's advantage as they have possession in their own end. But it's played out. Throw in for St. Paul's. Mandeville and St. Paul's played earlier this season. Were 0-0 at the break. Second half, though, dominated by the Wolves. Final was 3-0. And both coaches admit it could have been more. Throw-in is flicked forward. Now a chance for St. Paul's. Quick shot taken, and ball stayed low, skimmed along the ground, but the save made and the recovery by West. Wasn't a very well hit shot, but the angle good enough to force West to extend for the deflection. And Mandeville having harder time keeping possession here moving forward as St. Paul's again looks to attack, but broken up in the middle again. Perry Booth playing it wide right. And Nicholas was hand-finding a bit with Shalang, but the foul will go against Nicholas and Mandeville. A corner and a cross off a free kick, setting up a couple of opportunities for St. Paul's, but no real goal-scoring chance. Mandeville had a free kick directly outside of the 18. Deflect off the crossbar. Best scoring chance of the game for either team. 18 minutes in, still scoreless. Walmsley has it deflected from him and tries to chase it down and does so successfully. Shalang playing it forward, but too much heat on that pass. ball played wide and controlled by John Gardner. Gardner tries to bring it back towards the middle. Founds Tyler. Found him, but he played it back, and now it's stolen away by the Skippers, who will look for a counter, but it's broken up right away. And controlled nicely by Thomas Carrier. As expected, St. Paul's getting more and more of the possession and playing in the Mandeville half. Reversal to the other side. And again, when you see on this turf, and certainly St. Paul's, it being their home field, are used to playing on the field turf. Sometimes those crosses can get away when you try to reverse the ball to the other side. That a prime example. That a high second hop in particular. Of course, it helps if you play your games normally on this style turf if you're thinking about trying to win it all in the state finals. Tad Gormley, similar type of rubber field turf setup. Long throw-in is headed high, and then another header by Mandeville. They've done a really nice job defensively in the middle of the pitch so far. That time, Alex Peno playing it forward. Trying to come up with quick hitters are the Skippers, but quickly broken up. Mandeville, when they do have St. Paul's in their own half, at least initially trying to apply a little added pressure, then backing off to try to keep their shape and clutter the midfield, including right here. 3 players surround 1 Wolf. And Mandeville with possession once more as Caleb Newton comes up with it. Far side and a chance to put something together for Mandeville. And still controlling it, the Skippers, before it's deflected away. Hard to string passes together when you're only bringing, at most, 3 into attack. I guess you call that conservatively aggressive, considering the matchup and the opponent. Now space to work with. Nice passes put together here. 4 in a row by St. Paul's, playing it wide, though. Slowing it down a bit. Shalang trying to be the fulcrum in the middle of midfield for the Wolves. Now playing the middle. Tyler with a nice header forward, but West cleans up the mess at the near post. Walmsley was trying to sneak in from the left of midfield, but once more, just a little bit too much gusto on the pass as this ball goes out of play and Mandeville will have a throw-in. St. Paul's has scored at least 4 goals in their last 4 victories. With that draw to North Shore being the outlier. Now a foul is called. And a chance for a free kick for St. Paul's in Mandeville's half. This is a second game of a doubleheader here at Hunter Stadium. Earlier, the undefeated Doves of St. Scholastica dominated 7-0 against the Mandeville girls. And everybody's opinion is it'll take quite the effort for anybody to beat St. Scholastica in girls soccer. Now a chance for Mandeville. Can they string quick passes together? Instead, ball played forward, right into the center of St. Paul's defense, and it'll be Mandeville who's under pressure here. Ball played towards the middle and battling to try to keep possession and doing a really good job of it is Justin Savoy, the leading scorer, who comes off the bench for St. Paul's. Amazingly, he has 18 goals on the year. Twice as many as the next nearest Wolf. Pretty nice to have that coming off your bench, right? Once again, a play to the middle and a chance that's way out of play. The marking pretty good here by Mandeville so far. One match left for each of these squads. St. Paul's will host Fontainebleau on Friday night. And for Mandeville, playing for seeding, of course. They'll take on Covington, that a home game for the Skippers on Friday night as well. A little more space to work with in the midfield for St. Paul's as they play it forward again. But once more, nothing doing. But at some point, the dam will break if Mandeville cannot counter a little better than they have so far. Nothing remotely dangerous in the last 12 minutes. And with Peacock now out of the match injured, don't know if we'll see him again. That pressure up top, not an option, as Mandeville playing a bit more conservatively, but that time it's Peno fouled in his own half near the center line. Chance for a free kick for Mandeville. Will they look to lump something forward via the long ball or keep it in the midfield? Not much time over the ball. Left-footed boot as a line drive forward. Bit of a shove in the back there, and it will go out of play and be a throw-in for St. Paul's. And arguing his case is John Nicholas, to no avail. And this time Mandeville will keep the pressure forward, trying to create something via the loose ball, but it doesn't work. And now space on the wide right to move forward for St. Paul's, and they can string passes together very quickly. Doesn't take much, but that one a poor play to the middle and intercepted easily by Nicholas. Continues to be active all over the pitch. Played forward and deflected towards Marion for for Mandeville, but St. Paul's again with possession. Haven't seen the Wolves be able to put together a sustained number of passes, much less a dangerous finish. And that another bad pass in the midfield and a chance to move forward for the Skippers. Peno playing it wide and trying to keep it in play. Mandeville is able to do so, at least momentarily, and now played forward, flicked ahead. And a bit of a scrum going each way, but Mandeville eventually booting it forward and out of play over the end line. Mostly an ugly first half so far. If you're Mandeville, you'll take it. Substitution as Pamthum got a bit of a break. Now he's back out there. Clearly the danger man for Mandeville. 17 goals for him on the season so far. Mandeville able to back off here, and St. Paul's more than willing to keep it on the pitch and play it forward. Here's a chance for Walmsley, who will look to take it towards the end line. Now double teamed and will play it moving the other way and play it out. That's the first time we've seen that kind of patience from St. Paul's so far. But again, not moving it leads to a turnover and a quick throw in for Mandeville. It doesn't do much. And that's a clear-cut shove, but no whistle as the ball is out, and they're going to give a throw-in to St. Paul's. I don't know how you missed that. 2 forearms and a shove. Should have been a whistle. Instead, the Wolves get away with it, and will look to throw it in. But a sub coming from the St. Paul's bench. Jack Benaldi, a junior, in, along with Christian Roberts. a senior, as both John Gardner and Adam Shalang will get a breather here. Sean Moser giving opportunities to his reserves and a chance to perhaps find the right combination for the breakthrough goal. This one played towards the center of the pitch, headed down and cleared again by the Skippers. But not far enough, as St. Paul still in a dangerous position with possession. Once more, as they try to play it towards the middle, Mandeville has been awfully good at handling any potential danger. That out for a throw in far side. A certain amount of familiarity, as mentioned, between these two teams and the players. That can be an advantage or a disadvantage, considering you never know what the situation might be. A couple of years ago, Mandeville was eliminated by St. Paul's in the state semifinals. But the Wolves have been dominant in Division I in recent seasons. More streaming action coming to you with announcements to come on Sports NOLA, including some prep basketball action in the regular season, key district affairs. Part of the schedule to come, just pay attention to our Twitter account at Sports NOLA Prep for the latest information on our live streams brought to you by First NBC Bank. Not a clear trip, setting up a free kick for St. Paul's. Newton wasn't shy about it, stuck a leg out there. And this should be about 32 yards out. And an equipment adjustment, fancy terminology for a retying of a shoelace here, gives us a momentary delay in the action. No injury, it appears. Although our lead referee is checking his watch and wondering just how long it takes to properly fasten shoelaces here. Finally, Mason Robichaux, the junior midfielder, is done and set to put a right foot into this free kick. And he does quickly. The curler in towards the far post. Once more, too far and out of reach of everyone. Goal kick from Mandeville. West will lump one towards midfield. And Mandeville momentarily with possession. Now it's St. Paul's again looking to go the other way. But once again, a poorly played ball. A back pass goes out near the center line. Throw in for the Skippers. Oftentimes for St. Paul's, it's a matter of not converting good chances if they're in 0-0 games early. So far here, as we see another aggressive shove and no whistle against Robichaux and St. Paul's. Haven't been really good chances for the Wolves at all by their standards. And we get a whistle and a free kick given right around the same position on the opposite side of the field as we had a free kick for St. Paul's a moment ago. This one, a chance for Mandeville. And they'll try to play a quick one, and it is into the net for a goal. A quick free kick on the bounce is in, and the Skippers stunningly have a 1-0 lead over St. Paul's. And you know what? Considering the style here, pretty well deserved for Mandeville the way they played so far. Awfully hard to do, but Mandeville is out on top. And that was the quickest of free kicks. You weren't paying attention. Just like that. And St. Paul's had not even set up their wall yet. The goal going to Panthumthong, his 18th of the year. And on a hop inside the near post, beating Kyle Schmidt. So how will St. Paul's respond to this? You have to know Mandeville's energized, but that's oftentimes when you come up with the goal that you're most vulnerable for a response. Once again here, sloppy ball control for St. Paul slows any momentum in attack. Been the real story of the half. Good Mandeville defense with a little help from the hosts. Now a chance to turn and look to attack, and again swarming from the back line for Mandeville, and it's out for a throw for the Skippers, who would simply like to get themselves to the half with this lead. Skippers head coach Ari Kyriakidis saying that the work of the week is we have a handball called against Mandeville. Simply a focus on the psychology of the game. Be best prepared to approach the playoffs. And this matchup in particular. As of right now, Mandeville would have themselves on the St. Paul side of the bracket, as this one's headed forward well and waiting for it to bounce and making a quick grab late to prevent an attack from an oncoming Wolf is West. And Savoy was certainly close for comfort there if you're Mandeville. We'll now try to play it forward. And it's out of bounds for another Mandeville throw. 4 minutes plus added on time left in this opening half. And that a sloppy giveaway for Mandeville, and a chance to counter perhaps for St. Paul's. Looking to do so, Christian Roberts, middle of the pitch, has control of it. Plays it forward. On the spin, Savoy looks to chase, and not able to grab it cleanly was West, but Mandeville again up to the challenge on the back line to clear. Wolves keep it alive. And fighting and doing a nice job is Adam Zuli. But again, St. Paul's trying to work it forward to no avail. Goal kick for Mandeville. Nothing really special about the game plan for Mandeville. They've just played really well in their half, and could easily be up 2-0 here. One free kick hitting the post earlier, I should say the crossbar, near the left post. And then the goal by Panthumthong in the 33rd minute. And for the most part, been Mandeville that's been really smart about not taking any wild chances. Play it back, play it out, live to fight another day. Chance perhaps to work something here wide left, but instead it's kept in the middle by Thaler. Mandeville continuing to put pressure on the ball, and we've seen Adam Zuli, in particular number 44, in on a lot of the action. Now some space to work with for the Wolves. Lumped into the box and headed away by Mandeville, but towards the near corner. Now a chance for a left-footed cross that's too far by Carrier. But the Wolves able to play it near the box again, and Mandeville able to come up with possession. And we have a whistle, and it looks like it'll be a foul against the Skippers. And another free kick in the 35-yard range, as the clock is stopped here in the stadium, as it does in high school soccer at the 2-minute mark. It'll be a bit of added on time, as Peacock was down for a while before coming off for Mandeville. This one in the box and headed high in the air and off the head of a skipper and handled by West. Perry Booth able to get to that pass fired towards the near post. Now lumped forward and into the hands of Schmidt, the keeper for the Wolves. Can't really blame him for the goal, as Mandeville just went quickly on the free kick. Wolves' wall was not even set up yet, but the ball was set to be played live by the official, and rules are rules. Pantham Thong's 18th goal of the season to give the Skippers the lead. In the middle of the field, in particular in their half, Mandeville's had answers time and time again. Now just playing it away, playing it to safety, as we're seconds away from added on time. And Mandeville just trying to put themselves in passing lanes, focus on marking, and at this point just playing the ball forward at every opportunity to run clock. You know Sean Moser will not be happy with his squad at the half. They have not played crisply at all here in the first 40 minutes plus. But maybe one more chance here off the flick. And once more Mandeville, the back line, able to make a play. And it was Booth again. Booth and Zuli in the middle. Now is it Mandeville who have a chance? Although a little bit too comfortable over the ball was Ryan Cook. Skipper's able to keep possession in their half. I think you're just looking to lump it forward again, and that's what happened, but not far enough. Still time for another push for St. Paul's. And we see a chance in the middle, and played forward and played down by the back line of Mandeville again and into safety. Seems like the wings may be the way to go for St. Paul's to attack a Skipper's defense that's doing so well here. As we say that, playing wide, Mandeville coming up with the ball again. Now a chance perhaps to counter for St. Paul's, but there to the task, Pantham Thong, the goal scorer, playing both ways. And not playing as the lone forward here, able to come up with a goal and be part of this concerted defensive effort. Still in the Mandeville half, Bryant plays it towards the box. It's headed forward, but no problem there for West. And we should be seconds away from the whistle for halftime, as West will just boot it into the St. Paul's half. Not as much ball pressure in that end of the field as Mandeville. Just waiting for that whistle. But they can't switch off with how potent St. Paul's is here. That ball played out, and it will be a throw in for Mandeville. +40 minutes of this style after the lone goal so far will be something I don't think the Skippers can get away with, but enough to get themselves to the half with a surprising 1-0 lead over a St. Paul's club that has not lost to a Louisiana opponent all year long. Pantham Thong, 33rd minute on the free kick, the quick free kick. Able to convert from about 32 yards out inside the near post to give the Skippers a 1-0 lead. Perhaps a chance for an upset here on Sports NOLA Prep Soccer, presented by First NBC Bank. I want to thank the Merritts, Chip Merritt, our producer tonight, and Matt Merritt working the camera on the roof of the press box here at Hunter Stadium. We'll take this time out. Halftime, and a surprise, it's Mandeville 1, St. Paul's 0 on the North Shore. about ready for half number 2 as Mandeville has a surprising 1-0 lead over St. Paul's at Hunter Stadium on the North Shore. Devin Panthumthong's 33rd minute goal on a free kick, a quick free kick that you can watch the replay of on our Twitter account, Sports NOLA. That's at Sports NOLA. Of course, you can follow the rest of our prep action at Sports NOLA Prep, including updates from high school basketball tonight around the area in district play. But this is a real challenge for St. Paul's, as the Wolves haven't lost to a Louisiana squad all year long, but under pressure, they rarely trail. They do so after a half in which Mandeville did a nice job of clogging the midfield, and their back line in particular playing really well. Limited chances for the Wolves, the best 2 chances of the half, including the goal in the first 40 minutes plus, coming for the Skippers. Expect a bit of a full court press here as we're underway. An immediate change of possession favoring St. Paul's. Second leading scorer for Mandeville, Christian Peacock, already out with an injury after playing part of the first half, was already banged up, injured again, leaving Mandeville even more shorthanded in an injury-plagued season. None of that a concern for St. Paul's as they look for the equalizer. After the lone goal of this game, Mandeville became even more conservative defensively, and we see all 11 trying to play behind the ball here. And once more, inaccurate passing for the Wolves leads to a throw-in for Mandeville. St. Paul's just not sharp tonight in the matchup. And make no mistake about it, even Mandeville thought their chances were grim coming into this matchup. But they've played harder and more determined so far and been rewarded for it. Another shot off the crossbar on a free kick, very close to a second goal, or what would have been the first of the contest back in the first half, off the foot of Adam Zulik, one of the group of defenders that have held the back line well for Mandeville. Peacock was the lone man on top in this 4-2-3-1 formation. Really morphed into nothing more than a 4-5-1. Will probably stay that way as long as Mandeville holds the slimmest of advantages. St. Paul's playing a 4-4-2 and looking for the right combinations. That played out. Or do we have a foul? They're going to say a raised boot against Mandeville, leading to a free kick. James Bryant and Mason Robichaux, the duo around the ball, and it looks like they're going to give Bryant the opportunity to hammer one into the area. And he does so, and into the traffic, batted away only just by the keeper West. Now high in the air and headed forward for St. Paul's. Another flick towards the post and just wide. Very close that time, if not pretty. Chance to be very effective for St. Paul's on the bounce. 2 headers, but just wide. As we take a look at the replay here of a half chance that nearly equalized this contest. And once more, St. Paul's quickly able to come up with possession. But very little from the usual run of play so far for the hosts here, but a turnover in Mandeville's end leads to an opportunity forward for St. Paul's. Good movement on the play. Wide with it now John Gardner as it poked away. Out of play near side. Throw in Wolves. As they try to play quicker. But this time confusion as to who's going to have the honors, and it'll be Philip Pierce to throw it in. Now booting it towards the outside of the box, controlled by the Wolves. Another ball played in and chested down by Robichaux. and hit to safety for Mandeville near midfield. And you can hear the shouts of get organized. Mandeville has been just that. Not so much for St. Paul's, but a chance here, and once again to the feet of Gardner. Played wide by Pierce. Pierce will boot it across the face of goal, and it's headed forward and just off towards the near post, and a diving attempt and out of reach as it looked like Robichaud made the run late. Actually, it was Gardner who wasn't able to come up with it. But as expected, more in attack coming from St. Paul's now. 5 minutes into half number 2. And Mandeville able to come up with less and less of the possession. Another throw in for St. Paul's. Actually, they're going to say off of the Wolves. And if you're Mandeville, you might want to take a few seconds here to catch your breath and relieve the pressure as Zuli will throw forward. And that is right off of it. Looked like Mandeville, but they're going to say that Pierce got a foot in to play it out. Throw in Skippers. And even now, you question just how much Mandeville will play it forward. That time, they'll say, out of bounds off Mandeville. Off the foot of Ryan Cook. And the official's going to have a conversation with one of the tri-captains for St. Paul's. Bryce Tyler. The Cal Poly commitment, not happy about something. If anything, St. Paul's has perhaps gotten away with a shove or two at times. Otherwise, pretty even-handed officiating. Looking for a long throw-in. And leading it to immediate possession for St. Paul's. Eventually, but now a chance perhaps for something quick and cheap for Mandeville, broken up. There's been a lot of patience here and willingness to swing it from side to side and use the width of the field by St. Paul's so far. They've tried to be more direct, playing right into the hands of what Mandeville's done defensively to clog the middle. Hip-on-hip collision check right there, and a very late whistle as it was a momentary play on, but the foul going against Mandeville as Matthew Marion called for the foul. St. Paul's dominating possession so far early in half number 2, trailing by a goal. Carrier into the corner. The cross by Robichaud, settled, fired, and just saved on the far post, West. And the ball driven low. Able to come up with it. No question the rest of the way that number 31, Stephen West, is going to be tested for the Skippers. And anything Mandeville can do to pose a threat or just keep control of the ball a bit will help the cause here. You feel like they're playing for 1-0. And not much of a surprise, but Pathamthong can make things happen. Played it back to Peno, who manages to keep possession and settle and play it back. First prolonged possession in St. Paul's half of the second half for the Skippers, but then played meekly forward to the keeper Schmidt. Looked for a quick pass forward, decided against it. Now we'll boot it away at the edge of the area, but right to a Skipper. Peno trying to play it forward for the Skippers. Not able to do so, and here comes St. Paul's perhaps Ball goes out of play, and the throw in awarded to Mandeville. It hasn't been constant pressure, but certainly more chances in attack for St. Paul's, including perhaps right here, but the pass, a sloppy one, and played forward by the Skippers. But once more, not long, the possession for Mandeville. Gardner's been in on a lot of the action here. Now a chance ahead to Tyler. Tyler tries to take it straight in, and West able to take it off his foot in the keeper's area. Good performance for West here in the second half so far. I'm sure he knew it was coming. Header by Moser. Now another. But St. Paul's not able to keep possession. Here comes perhaps a counter chance for the Skippers, but too much heat on that pass forward, intended for Ryan Cook. Now the Wolves, as 7 behind the ball, continue to backpedal. And once more, not able to string passes together and broken up by the Skippers. The attack by the Wolves. Reversal, forward, played high into the area, and West can only fist it away with the right hand. But the defense able to clean up the mess. Pathamthong doesn't waste any time firing it forward into the other half to relieve the pressure. Mandeville trying to keep fresh under pressure with multiple subs. Chase Erickson, a senior midfielder, among them. Christopher Nicholas, a freshman, with an opportunity to help as well. As it's exhausting to be playing on your heels defensively as much as Mandeville has already here in the first 12 minutes of the second half. But it is the task at hand against the heavily favored Wolves. Deep throw in for St. Paul's, flicked forward. Now a chance to move it is Moser. Connects with Savoie, stolen away. And then played poorly out by Peno. But he amongst the stars in the midfield and back line for the Skippers. So much focus going on, being in spots defensively, breaking up passes, kind of affecting mentally the thoughts of going the other way. But a couple of counters here and there might be available with the right pass or two. At least that's what you hope if you're Ari Kyriakidis, head coach of Mandeville. 12-6-5 on the year. One of the better teams in the state, having a bit of an off year, although the record still respectable. The rankings still say they're amongst the best in the top division in the state in boys soccer. Now here come the Wolves inside the area, but 2-on-1. The defense up to the task to play it out. Taylor LeBlanc, who was a bit more aggressive, playing towards the middle of the pitch, doing his job at right back a moment ago. Now a chance forward, the freshman, can he do something? Nicholas, no, not able to keep possession. But his job is to apply pressure around the midfield up top and look for a counter if possible. Now the other way, right to the feet of Adam Zulli, who almost scored on a free kick in the first half if you're just joining us. Off the crossbar. He'll look to attack the other way, but it's broken up. At least a little bit more aggressiveness for Mandeville, trying to counter. They haven't fought much in the middle third of the pitch here in the second half, but won a lot of the battles there in the first 40-plus minutes before the break. Another throw in for St. Paul's. And this is a real test for the Wolves if they're facing a similar situation in the postseason. Are they 0-0? Or are they down a goal? They're not in this position often, particularly against a team willing to bunker like you're going to see from Mandeville and pretty much anybody they're going to face the rest of the way. Near side within it should be a handball, and it is whistled against Mandeville. Going deeper into their bench for another freshman, Jacob Vesic, the culprit. I should say Vecic, the correct pronunciation of his name. A lot more subs in for Mandeville. Under pressure. The free kick will be taken by Connor Walmsley with the left foot, driven right into the middle, but perhaps a bit too low. No chance for a couple of Wolves trying to make a run to control and turn. But yet another throw-in for St. Paul's. But not before subs come for Mandeville. One for St. Paul's as well, but you see Mandeville was buying time. But the rest is over for several regulars. Pierce fires towards the middle. Knocked away by Booth. Fancy footwork here by James Bryant. And the flick forward is safely in the hands of West. We've seen that attempted several times tonight by a number of Wolves. Tyler, that time. Not able to get much on it, and not the positioning you wanted, as was right to the center of the goal mouth for the waiting West. This attack broken up. Pino has it poked away. No whistle on a collision. We see Pathamthong putting pressure. That leads to a steal and a chance the other way. Marion has it back after it was deflected off of a Wolf. And now Mandeville will look for numbers, but that proves to be a mistake and a chance for a counter, awfully rare, as Shalang plays it forward out to the left. Mandeville running furiously, and it's poked out for a corner on the far side. Could have been worse, as Mandeville hadn't really had a chance to slow up on a counter and work for possession, and it played into the advantage of the Wolves with space to go the other way after the steal. Chance for another in-swinger on the corner, and that dangerous but poked away again. Looks like West got a hand up there, and it might have actually been off the head of the Wolf making a run on the backside, and it was a goal kick for the Skippers. Deflected out by Robichaux. Actually, it was Shalang. One of the Wolves' captains. Mandeville not able to keep possession long. And the ball played forward, poked away and out of play by Caleb Newton. Now a little patience playing from the back. And you see a chance there, perhaps for Ryan Cook to create some magic going the other way, but St. Paul's able to recover. Now more pressure from Pathamthong leads to a steal. Now Pathamthong with it in the middle of the pitch, trying to play it back to a teammate, and it's stolen away. Maybe a little more patience needed when those chances do come for Mandeville, just to relieve the pressure. Chance for a throw-in for the Skippers in their third. They should probably take their time doing so. We're 19 minutes into the second half. Pathum Thong's free kick goal back in the first half. The only tally of the matchup so far. Bryant playing it to the left, broken up again. Taylor LeBlanc doing the honors for Mandeville. Once again, the Wolves with possession. Pathum Thong with the pressure. Moser gives it up. We've seen a lot of aggressiveness now. Mandeville playing 2 up top, just to harass a little bit more the beginning of these attacks in their half. This one a great cross and a miss of a wide open net, as that should have made it 1-1. Great chance goes wide right for St. Paul's. And it doesn't get any easier than that, right in the middle of the box. I believe it was Moser who had the opportunity. And the makings of an upset here. Moments like that. They have to happen if you're able to pull something like this off. And now a chance for Mandeville to throw in, perhaps bring some numbers forward. And that can be a bit of a deflator, so if you can put a pass or two together if you're the skippers here on the heels of that miss, a chance could be waiting. Instead, a free-for-all for it, and the Wolves have a chance to bounce back the other way. Played forward and space to work with, but not handled well by Shalang. Looked like he got crossed up trying to turn as the ball was coming his way. Mandeville not letting up in the back in the run of play, although St. Paul's had a brilliant opportunity a moment ago, and now with the pressure on, played wide, and the cross broken up. Time and time again, answers for Mandeville. We have a whistle after the clearance by Booth a moment ago, setting up a free kick just over 30 yards out, which has been a popular area for both squads so far. And it was Mandeville able to cash in from that spot. Robichaux, the lone wolf. Looking to approach this one with the right foot, as Mandeville has the wall set right on the edge of the area. Played forward and headed away by Mandeville, but on the rebound, played out. Looked like Connor Slimming tried to one-time it and mishit it. Tough to play a ball like that, but you take a second shot. Actually, James Bryant, the Wolf, trying one of the more difficult shots in the game. Playing it in the air forward. Tried to keep it low, but not on target. 17 minutes plus added on time left. Still 1-0 Mandeville. A surprise at Hunter Stadium so far. Pathum Thong playing it high into the other end. And Mandeville, after an awkward bounce, able to come up with it. Zuli playing towards the middle, broken up well by Moser and played forward. Can Mandeville keep possession down here? No, they cannot. They've done a nice job of applying pressure in these situations, particularly early in the match, and for a moment it looked like Mandeville was going to play it forward. But Cook, a bit too passive over the ball after the turnover. And back to what has been the stasis of this second half. For a moment anyway, the Wolves had possession. And Cook again not able to do much with a pass around midfield. And 3-on-1 breaking through. Here comes Shalang. Shalang has his chance broken up and played out near sideline. Great recovery by Perry Booth, the center back. Coming up with an extra gear as Shalang was able to break through a trio of skippers. Didn't even wind up with a shot for his efforts. Now played across, batted away by West, not able to settle on the outside of the area is Longo, and now Longo has it broken up and played to relieve the pressure. Flick forward, and we see once more Perry Booth active in the middle of the action. But here's a chance and a scuff of the ball, and another play is forward, and we have, looks like it should be a goal kick. Wow, another chance goes by for St. Paul's. As Tyler scuffed what looked like a shot attempt. And I believe it was Robichaux coming in, not able to work it past West. Second really good chance of the half for St. Paul's. Now can the Skippers come up with anything to put pressure on Kyle Schmidt, the keeper for St. Paul's, who has to play this ball on the edge of his area. And once more, St. Paul's can come from our left to our right. But we see it time and again. Mandeville with answers. This game's opened up a little bit, and maybe exactly what St. Paul's needs to see. More space to work with. Good decision by Zuli to stay between attacker and the ball and allow his keeper West to scoop it up. Fancy flick try there by a skipper. Leads to an attack the other way. Ball played wide to the left, and it'll be a tough one to run down. But a chance in the corner, attacking inside the box, and deflected out of play for a corner. John Gardner creating the chance there to set up another corner. And not wasting any time, here it comes. And played away once more in the middle of the Mandeville defense on the back line. And a goal kick for the Skippers. Mandeville's really done what they've had to do the last 5 or 6 minutes. If the field's opened up a little bit, they've tried to come up with something in attack. One of those best defenses is a good offense. Not that they've had much here in the half. But if they're constantly defending in their third the rest of the way, you don't like their chances to hold on to a 1-0 lead. Here comes St. Paul's again. Just booted away. Far side. And part of the success for St. Paul's is playing the ball wider more, including right here. Chase McDougall playing it across. Now waiting for it to settle, and a tough kick. As the ball didn't take the right kind of hop for Justin Savoie, but another corner for St. Paul's is the end result. And if anything, it looks like St. Paul's is rushing these chances a little bit, trying to keep the pressure on. Cross in, fisted away by West again. And booted down the pitch by Mandeville. By number 7, who my roster says is a mystery man. Is what it is. St. Paul's trying to organize themselves with possession in the Mandeville half. Back towards the middle. Lost possession for Connor Walmsley. Booted away again. Skippers. Chance to play wide. Intercepted by Mandeville. Looking to move forward. The freshman Christopher Nicholas is dispossessed. Here come the Wolves. Longo came up with it. But once more the attack lacking in the middle of the pitch. And a late whistle and a foul goes against St. Paul's. Free kick Mandeville in their own half. And this is a good chance to take a little bit of a breather. As we're inside 10 minutes left in half number 2. Not counting added on time. And the ball played forward. Deep into St. Paul's half for a throw-in for the Wolves. And this is where we've seen Mandeville put some pressure on the back line and try to come up with loose balls. That's led to some poor passes at times, including that one. And the Skippers with control of it, but then a lazy giveaway there by Booth, and then given right back by St. Paul's. The way the ball's skipping on the pitch, you would think, if you weren't here, that it might be slick out there, but I just think it's been poor passing. Overweighted balls on the artificial stuff. Ball played down the middle, but short of the target. Shalang fighting for it. Asking for a foul after the ball played out of his reach, and then perhaps overly aggressive, getting away with a dangerous play on the ball with 2 feet. No whistle. And St. Paul's continues to try to come up with something. Dougal will have a chance for a throw-in here. Bryce Thyler back in the ballgame. John Gardner comes out for St. Paul's. Walmsley looking to play one across. Headed away again, but to the feet of a Wolf who plays it high and wide. With the left foot, it was a decent chance, a decent look, but Walmsley too much gusto. Just one of those matchups that'll tell every other contender in the state. St. Paul's isn't invincible, although an outstanding program and an excellent team on any given day. They're certainly not dead yet, trailing by a goal. Here's Bryant. Moving forward. Good pass, fancy footwork. Pierce. Pierce playing it to the middle and cleared away from danger in front of the 6. Nice job again by Perry Booth. Booth and Zuli in the middle. The 2 center backs for Mandeville have been excellent tonight. Now attack. Played and flicked forward, but straight down off the header by Savoie. On a bounce to West. Couple of headers right in the middle of the area. Played right at the keeper here in the second half. Nearing 6 minutes left before added time. Skipper smelling the upset and seeing some chances by the Wolves, but not as many and not as dangerous as we saw earlier in this half. But it only takes one. Carrier plays it forward. Tyler battling with Pathumthong. Out of play. Should be a throw-in for St. Paul's. Now we have a delay here with an injury. Maybe it's a cramp. That's what it looks like for a skipper. Back in the other half, near the sideline. That'll give both teams a chance to catch their breaths. As the clock ticks inside, 5 minutes left in the second half, but certainly time will be added on for this injury. Speaking of injury, we haven't seen Christian Peacock since he left in the first half, limping off after he tried to come up with a rebound on a shot off the crossbar by Adam Zulli from a free kick. Mandeville didn't score that time, but in the 33rd minute they did. As their leading scorer, Devin Pathumthong, converted on a quick free kick from 32 yards out. Chase Erickson, a senior, coming in as the injured skipper Ryan Cook now on his feet and on the bench. Midfielder for midfielder subbed out. Now finally a chance to throw it in the final third for St. Paul's. And the back line for the Skippers. I believe a handball was called against one of them. Setting up a free kick about 22 yards out. This a favorable spot if the Wolves can come up with the right ball. Another substitution for Mandeville. Our freshman Jacob Vetchik seeing a little bit more action here as Erickson comes out, another defender to help the cause. As St. Paul's looks for an equalizer with the right foot forward. Deflected in the air, and West, two hands sure to come up with it. And what a clean sheet this could be for Stephen West, the senior. What would be the highlight of the season for Mandeville if they hold on for the victory. Now a chance for Mandeville coming forward. Vetchik. An attempt to try to reverse down the sideline is lost out of play by Mandeville. Quick throw in for St. Paul's. Actually, they're saying this is supposed to be a throw in for Mandeville. They are. Certainly helpful for the Skippers as we have reached the 2-minute mark. Clock stops in the stadium. Official time, of course, kept on the field. That ball played too far. And over the back line, goal kick for St. Paul's. Running out of time. And looking to push. But Pathumthong, playing great two-way football tonight, plays it out. Now a throw-in for the Skippers. It's been the added benefit of Pathumthong playing in midfield versus being the lone forward tonight. He's been more of a factor on more 50-50 balls. part of a good team defensive effort. Walmsley. Bryant looking to play forward. Patham Thong breaks it up and overweights the ball playing it forward, but it's booted to safety. That's the important part. As the clock continues to tick down, headed out by Newton. McDougal to throw it in for St. Paul's. Flick on, intercepted, and again cleared. Again it's Zuli. Long throw, Patham Thong heads it down, but only to the feet of Bryant. Bryant has his pass stolen. We've seen these opportunities to try to play a through ball with way too much heat. That one was picked off. If you're Mandeville, maybe try to hold on to it a little longer. Patham Thong with a soft play to space and to a teammate. But it's taken away from Vetchik. Actually, collection, it was John Nicholas, and now forward Tyler, but can't able to come up with it. West, though, didn't scoop it up right away, but played it off his body away from the Wolves. That's the important part. Now able to run a few seconds before booting it away. We are now in added time. At least a couple of minutes for St. Paul's to come up with an equalizer. The excellent defensive effort continues for Mandeville. The possession in a dangerous area for Savoie, again booted away. And Patham Thong fires it out of bounds near side. Can St. Paul's mount one last strong effort? They've had success playing it wide left. They do so here. On the backside, the header is parried away at the near post by West. Pierce with a very good header that time, but West came up with it. But the danger still coming. St. Paul's with it in the area. Played wide, and that should be out of play for a corner for the Wolves, and it is. Pierce sets the ball down. Walmsley to play it with an in-swinger. Maybe the last chance for St. Paul's. Headed away by Mandeville. St. Paul's trying to keep the pressure coming. Wide with it, Walmsley. Across the area, headed forward. Zuli flicks it away. Trying to keep it coming is Bryant. And it's out for a goal kick. Mandeville oh so close to pulling off a big surprise tonight. Subbing back in is Chase Erickson. West has made some key second half saves. Boots it forward here, and Erickson with a foot on it. Pino plays it ahead. Deep in St. Paul's end. Now under pressure here is Schmidt. Just what Mandeville needed. And that'll do it. The final whistle comes, and the celebration will be a big one. The Skippers pull a surprising upset. 1-0 the final. First loss to a team from the state of Louisiana all year for the mighty St. Paul's Wolves. Unbelievable 80-plus minutes tonight as Mandeville up to the task with a great defensive effort, making a first-half goal off the foot of Devin Patham Thong. Hold up. Short-handed Mandeville, banged up all year. Just put together their best possible effort of the year to blank the Wolves tonight. Really impressive to watch. A 33rd minute goal deciding it. St. Paul's had their chances in the second half. No question about it. But Stephen West, the senior keeper for Mandeville, had key answers. And you tip your cap to Ari Kyriakidis, the head coach of Mandeville. Had his team mentally ready. That's what he told us before the matchup tonight. He's been working on the mental side of the game for his team. Believe that you can compete with a team like St. Paul's. The Skippers came off a 2-0 loss to Hammond, a head-scratcher of a performance, and able to surprise tonight against the best team in the state, period. This could be a big help for Mandeville moving up for seeding in the state tournament set to start next week. So Mandeville improves to 13-6-5 on the year, 3-2 in District 4 of Division 1. And St. Paul suffers their first loss in league play, 19-4-2 their record, 4-1 with a draw, and that opens the door for a surprising North Shore squad that came up with a draw against St. Paul's to win the district title. Sean Moser has an outstanding program. A team looking for yet another state championship and favored to do so. But this a lesson learned this evening, and perhaps something that if you're a head coach you don't like to lose, but it's a great way to build a lesson or two into your team that you may be good, but you're not unbeatable. We learned that tonight. Congratulations to Mandeville, a 1-0 winner over St. Paul. Jude Young, happy to be with you this evening. I want to thank the Merritts, Chip, and Matt for their work on this broadcast tonight. We'll have a recap with the winning goal on sportsnola.com later this evening. Signing off from Hunter Stadium. The final again, the Skippers of Mandeville 1, the St. Paul's Wolves 0. An upset on the North Shore on sportsnola.com.